the emergency call. We're going to be covering this all throughout the night. We have the 6 o'clock news coming up on WBZ from our local perspective, and then we're working hard to put together all the late information combination of local, national, and international news coming up at 7 o'clock on UPN 38.
We have lots of coverage yet to come. We hope you'll stay right here with us at WBZ. Thank you for being with us. We're going to send it back to the network now.
Minutes later, he made a statement, then got on a plane and said he was heading back to Washington. But as it turned out, the president did not go to Washington. Security concerns were paramount here, and he was taken instead to Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana. And on the ground in Barksdale, he taped a statement, which was later played back for us, and this is what the president had to say at that time to the American people.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended. I want to reassure the American people that the full resources of the federal government are working to assist local authorities to save lives and to help the victims of these attacks. Make no mistake, the United States will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts. I've been in regular contact with the Vice President, Secretary of Defense, the National Security Team, and my cabinet. We have taken all appropriate security precautions to protect the American people. Our military at home and around the world is on high alert status, and we have taken the necessary security precautions to continue the functions of your government. We have been in touch with the leaders of Congress and with world leaders to assure them that we will do whatever is necessary to protect America and Americans. I ask the American people to join me in saying a thanks for all the folks who have been fighting hard to rescue our fellow citizens, and to join me in saying a prayer for the victims and their families. The resolve of our great nation is being tested, but make no mistake, we will show the world that we will pass this test. God bless.
President Bush, that was the videotape that he made outside Shreveport, Louisiana, his second statement of the day. The earlier one, a situation in Florida where he spoke very briefly, had happened about an hour and a half, 2 hours before that statement was made. Russ Mitchell, who's been helping me here at CBS News World Headquarters in New York, has a development and someone to talk to. Russ?
Thank you very much, Dan. And we're here now with Patrick Andre. He works on the 71st floor of building number 2 at the World Trade Center. He's a trading manager at Morgan Stanley. Mr. Andre, thanks for joining us. You were there when the second plane hit. Describe to me what happened.
We were evacuating the 71st floor when suddenly I heard a boom and fire and smoke engulfed the floor, and all the tiles for the ceiling started crumbling down.
The tiles from the ceiling?
Yeah, from the ceiling started, yeah. And at that point, the 2 other co-workers who were with me, we decided to go down the stairs, and leave the building.
You went down 71 flights of stairs. Tell me, you say the building didn't shake, but you obviously felt an explosion.
Yes.
What was going through your head when you felt this?
That I'm making sure that everybody who were on my floor were out of the building, evacuated, and a repeat of 1993, since I was there the last time.
That's right. You've worked in that building for 15 years. You were there in 1993 during the terrorist attack then. Let me go back to you going down 71 flights of stairs. How many people were with you? What did you encounter along the way?
There were about 4 people with me at that point, since we were the last one to leave the 71st floor. And in mid-level, we encountered a young lady who was an handicap, with crutches and asking for help. And between the three of us, we helped her down to the lower floors.
Now, when you got downstairs to the bottom of the building, what did you think? What was the first thing that you did?
That we got some fresh air. And the police and FBI agents were there guiding everyone out of the, to move out of the building. And so it was a relief, really.
Describe the scene, what you saw when you looked outside.
Fire.
Fire.
From building number 1. And debris, a piece of steel falling from that part of the building, the front part, into the lower ground. Yes, the ground was covered with steel, glass, paper from those floors, yes.
You had to be frightened.
Yes, I was.
Yeah. Describe that feeling. I mean, here you are. You're actually there. We're looking at it. We're looking at these pictures here, which are just horrific. This looks like downtown Beirut a few years ago. Rudolph Giuliani said it looks like it was bombed during World War II or something. What's going through your head? You're in the middle of all this.
Well, I guess, like I said, my primary responsibility was the evacuation of my floor. And before anything, I mean, not to panic, and keep my head on my shoulder and making sure that everybody was out. And that was the primary responsibility that I had at that point.
Your primary responsibility was to get everyone out. Now, what happened? Where were you when the building collapsed? When Tower 2 collapsed?
I was in front of City Hall, between City Hall and GNR Music World.
Which is about, what, 3 blocks away?
About 3 blocks away. And I'm looking up my building, number 2, in flame at the upper level. And then suddenly, I'm looking at the building collapsing like paper.
Yeah.
And, that's really frightening me at that point.
Excuse me, Russ Mitchell. Please forgive me for interrupting, but apparently another building in the World Trade Center complex has just collapsed downtown. This is a live photograph of yet another building. Keep in mind that the World Trade Center complex, check me as I go here, please, sir, has 7 buildings total. Has the 2 towers. They're gone.
Yes.
Now, we reported some time ago that 2 other buildings in the World Trade Center complex were in danger of collapsing. One of those buildings has collapsed. There is an unconfirmed report that is building 5, but we do not know that. Other sources are apparently reporting this building 5 in the complex, but we do not know that. What you are looking, these are live pictures here. We've mixed live and tape, tried to make it clear to you throughout the day what's live, what's videotape. This is live tape, and you can tell it's at least another building collapsed because the density and the amount and frankly, the altitude of the smoke has increased so dramatically in that area. Keep in mind, and we've said this before, we say it again, what you're seeing are high shots. Now, here we're going to show you a videotape of the collapse itself.
Describe that.
Now we go to videotape, the collapse of this building.
It's amazing.
Amazing, incredible, pick your word. For the 3rd time today, it's reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before, when a building was deliberately destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down. And so therefore this smoke that we were talking about, and keep in mind there are firemen, policemen, other workers down there working, searching for people in the previously collapsed World Trade Center 2 towers, fates unknown. This is an incredible situation. This has never happened before in the United States. This is the most serious attack on U.S. soil that's happened since the Civil War, which of course was something completely different. Here on the front edge of the 21st century. And it's a good thing we held off on the confirmation, because we now are able to report with confidence that Trade Center Building 7 was that building that collapsed.
Correct.
Not Trade Center Building 5. Now, Trade Center Building 5, keep in mind 7 buildings in the World Trade Center, 2 twin towers, they collapsed early this morning after being hit by planes. Then this afternoon we were told buildings 5 and 7 were in danger of collapsing. Building 7 of the New York Trade Center, a large building, in most other cities would be one of the largest buildings in town probably. Trade Center Building 7 has collapsed. CBS News correspondent and 60 Minutes 2 correspondent Scott Pelley is on the scene. Scott.
Dan, we were literally at the base of building number 7 about an hour or so ago with a number of New York City firefighters and police officers. At that time, the building was fully involved in flame. There were large panes of glass crashing down into the street. And at that moment, the firefighters told us that there was a good chance that building number 7 was going to collapse. That appears to be what has happened now. I don't know exactly how many stories the building is, Dan, but standing at the base of it, watching it burn about an hour ago, it looked to be something on the order of 50, 60 stories, as you said, a very, very large office building. And I don't know whether they were able to evacuate all of the emergency personnel before the collapse, but I can tell you that an hour ago, there were a number of firefighters and police officers in the area. They were watching building number 7 burn because there was frankly nothing they could do about it. The inferno was huge. So much of the building was collapsing into the street bit by bit that they were unable to do anything with it. And now it seems that building number 7 has finally collapsed, at least the 3rd building to fall in the World Trade Center today.
Scott Pelley in Lower Manhattan. I don't believe Scott Pelley hears me, but Scott, on the off chance you do we know anything about Trade Center Building 5, which was reported near collapse?
Dan, I don't know, but when we were down about a block from the base of the World Trade Center towers about an hour ago. And there was a great deal of concern at that time from the firemen that building number 7 was going to collapse, building number 5 was in danger of collapsing, and there is so little they can do to try to fight the fires in these buildings because the fires are so massive and so much of the buildings continue to fall into the street. When you're down there, Dan, you hear smaller secondary explosions going off every 15 or 20 minutes. And so it is an extremely dangerous place to be. Heavy, dense, black smoke choking the firefighters down there. Very little they can do to save these buildings. We don't know what the condition of building number 5 is at this moment.
Scott Pelley, and we're told Associated Press quotes authorities as saying that building 7, the one you just saw collapse on videotape there, and this has happened within the last few minutes, that we're told that the building had been evacuated. Sir, you know the World Trade Center complex. What was building 7? Do you know?
It was the Salomon Midbari.
Solomon Smith Barney. Say again.
It was built for Salomon Midbari.
So Solomon Brothers and Smith Barney were in that building, headquartered there.
Yes.
But I want to emphasize that we're told that the building had been evacuated because it was in danger of collapsing in some time.
I don't know.
And in building 5, which is reported
This is Morgan Stanley building as well.
And you work in Morgan Stanley again.
Building 5 is the operation for Morgan
Thank you
Stanley.
very much. And we get back to the point which has been made earlier in the day, we repeat it here, that the terrorists, whomever they may be, yes, there's a lot of talk about Osama bin Laden and others, but whomever this together, did so, a coordinated attack, attacking the 2 symbols of America's superpower status. The financial district, the Twin Towers now, and hearing about these other buildings, part of the World Trade Center complex around the towers being centers of American financial institutions, and then, of course, another of the hijacked planes hitting the Pentagon. Not by coincidence, they chose these targets for their symbolism. Now, we're coming up to the top of the hour here in our continuing CBS News coverage from our world headquarters in New York. We do have coming in additional video that you haven't seen before, taken by private individuals, and we're going to show you some of that as we pass the top of this next hour. We also, as we've been doing all day, at the top of the hour and then at the half-hour mark, try to bring you up to date on the situation, the latest information, and put a frame around this incredible day, a day that will leave an infamy in United States history. There are no reliable even estimates of the total number of dead and wounded in New York at this time, and it may be quite some time before we have that information. Another building in the World Trade Complex has collapsed. You are watching continuing CBS News coverage of the attack on America.